All right, for today's lesson, you guys are going to need this sheet that says GCF polynomials. So GCF, that's a term that we've used before, mainly in like sixth grade, maybe before that, where you were talking about greatest common factor. So we're going to take that approach, but we're going to apply it to polynomials. So we're going to really have an algebraic application to it. So if you look at the directions say factor the common factor out of each expression. And when they say the common factor, they really mean the largest common factor. And again, that is just the biggest number that goes into both of those terms, or you might, in this case, just two. Some we're going to get to, you have three terms, some four terms. There's no limit. Okay, so I need to look at these two pieces individually. 6a squared and then this 10. And I'm not really concerned about that negative right now. But I'm thinking, like, what is the biggest number that can go into both of these evenly? And you do have to take into account the variables as well. Okay, but in this case, I see 6a squared and 10. Well, 2 is the biggest number that I can go into both of those numbers evenly. So I'm going to factor out a 2. And then what I do is I need to put back in parentheses everything that I basically haven't used, or I need to put back inside this parentheses some numbers that when they're multiplied by 2, you reach back to the original problem. So you ask yourself, 2 times what is 6a squared? Okay, well, that's going to be 3a squared. And then 2 times what is negative 10? In that case, it's going to be negative 5. Okay, number 2. So number 2, we have negative 6r plus 16. Again, I'm going to look for the biggest number that goes into both of these pieces here. And sometimes it's done differently. People factor differently. And you'll see some of these answers down below are a little bit different depending if you pull a negative out with the leading coefficient or if you leave it. I always like to pull out this negative if it's on the leading term inside the your polynomial there. So 6r and 16, again, the biggest number that goes to both of those is 2. So I'm going to pull a 2 out, but because this was a negative in front, I'm going to pull out a negative 2. Okay, then I put back in parentheses, and I need to think, well, what is being multiplied in to equal negative 6r? And negative 2 times 3r is negative 6r. And then I have negative 2 times some number is positive 16, and that's going to be a negative 8. Okay, so just remember that this is also equivalent to this. Because if I distribute this 2 in, it's going to be this answer here. Just like if I distribute this negative 2 in, it's going to be this answer here. But when we get to harder factoring problems, you definitely need to factor out this negative with it, and you want your leading term inside the parentheses to be a positive. Okay, and you're going to see, like I said, we get to later lessons, you're going to want to pull out that negative and make the work for you easier. All right, I want you guys to write down, let's do negative 42 m to the 7th plus 35 m to the 5th. Okay, so this is the first time that we've seen a problem that's got, they're both sharing some m's as well. So I'm looking at the numbers. I got negative 42 and 35. I see my leading term there is a negative, so I'm going to pull out this negative. And between 42 and 35, the largest number that goes into both of those is going to be a 7. So I'm going to pull out a negative 7. But then you also got to look at the variables, and you see you have 7 m's, m to the 7th power. You have 5 m's, m to the 5th power. So then you think, well, what do they share, or what could be the common factor between that? And it's really just which one has the least amount of m's, and it's going to be this piece right here. So they both at least have 5 m's. So I'm going to pull out 5 m's. Okay, and this negative 7m to the 5th is my GCF. All right, then I put my parentheses, and I need to go back and think, well, negative 7m to the 5th times what number is negative 42m to the 7th? So that'd be a positive 6. You already had 5 m's, so I needed to go ahead and do that squared, because 5 plus 2 makes that 7. All right, then I move to the back. Negative 7 times what is 35? So that's going to be a negative 5. And then you see you have m to the 5th. This is an m to the 5th, so I don't need any other m's back here. Okay, so that's going to be my final answer. All right, you guys go ahead and do number 3. Go ahead and do number 4. And let's go to number 5. Okay, we see number 5. Number 5 is not written in proper order. So anytime it's not written in proper order for us to factor, we do really want to switch these around and put it in proper order. So I'm going to put negative 12a to the 3rd in front. So I use that piece. Plus 30a. And then I have this minus 9. So again, you want to put proper order with your exponents first in descending order. Okay, so you look at the numbers that are left. You got a negative here, so I'm definitely going to pull out a negative. And then I have 12, 30, and 9. So between 12, 30, and 9, 3 is the biggest number that goes to all of those. And then I look for variables. Well, this one's got 3 A's. This one's got 1 A, but this one doesn't have any A's, which means I can't pull out any A's because this back one doesn't have any to go with it. Okay, so now I'm just going to put parentheses, make it a little bit larger because you got 3 terms. So negative 3 times what is negative 12a cubed? And that would be a positive 4a cubed. And then negative 3 times what is positive 30a? That's going to be a minus 10a. And then negative 3 times what is negative 9? That's going to be a positive 3. And that's my answer for that one. Okay, number 6. So checking this one out here, we see 18, 14, 10. It goes B. There's 10 of them. There's 2 of them. There's none of them. So it's in proper order. So I want to see 18, 14, 10. The biggest number that goes in all of those looks like it's just going to be a 2. So I'm going to pull a 2 out. Then I'm looking for my variables. Well, you got 10 B's. You got 2 B's. You got no B's. So I can't pull out any variables there. Okay, so I'm going to put parentheses back. 2 times what is 18b to the 10th? And that's going to be 9b to the 10th. 2 times what is 14b squared? That's going to be a 7b squared. And then 2 times what is negative 10? It's going to be a negative 5. Okay, you guys do number 7. And go ahead and do 8. Okay, number 9. So number 9 is pretty much what we have been doing. So we'll do some more of this together. Check it out. Is it in proper order? Yep. So I'm looking now at my numbers here, 70, 10, and 20. Looks like your GCF is going to be a 10. Check the variables. You got n, 3 of them, 1 of them, none of them. So I can't pull out any variables. So now I put my parentheses back. 10 times what is 70n cubed? It's going to be a 7n cubed. 10 times what is 10n? That's just a positive 1n. And then 10 times what's negative 20? There's your negative 2. Okay, number 10. Quick glance at this one. It's not in proper order. In fact, it's all backwards. So I'm going to reorder it. So 54b cubed plus 9b squared minus 27b. Okay, looking at this one, we see the numbers 54, 9, and your 27. Well, the biggest number that goes to all of those would be a 9. And then I look at your variables. I see they all share some b's. So then I ask myself, well, what is the smallest b you see? And it's this one back here, just 1, which means I can only pull out 1, because after I pull out that one b, this term has no b's left, so you can't pull out any more. Okay, put your parentheses. So 9b multiplied by what is 54b cubed? That's going to be a 6b squared. 9b times what is 9b squared? Well, all I'm missing is another b. And then 9b times what is negative 27b? And that's going to be a negative 3b. Okay, so that's that one. Okay, number 11. So this one, if you see, it gets progressively harder because now we have more than one variable going on here. Okay, if I look at this one here, look at my numbers, and I see technically this is a negative 1. Then you have a negative 3. You have really technically a positive 1. So the only thing that you can pull out is technically a negative 1. And I want to pull out this negative 1 because I want to make that leading term again a positive. Okay, but then I look at my x's and my y's. So together, I'm thinking, all right, well, all these have x's. And I see, well, what's the smallest x we see right here is 1, which means I can only pull out 1x. And then I look at my y's. Okay, what's my smallest y? Well, they're all the same. And they all have 3 of them. So I can pull out y cubed because they all share that. Okay, now we got to put our parentheses, and I'm thinking negative 1xy cubed times what is x to the 5th y cubed. So you already have this, you already have 1x, but you need a total of 4 more to make that. You already have the y's, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put 4 x's there, x to the 4th power. Then I'm thinking, what needs to be multiplied to be a negative 3 here? Well, that's going to be a positive 3. And then look at your x's. You have 1, but here's 3. So that means I need to have 2 more of them. And then the y's, you have 3. There's already 3 there, so that matches up. Okay, in the back, this was a positive 1. So which means I'm going to have to multiply by a negative, because a negative times a negative will make that positive. And then look at your x's. Well, your x's match up. Your y's match up. So in this case, you're thinking, I don't need to multiply by anything except the number 1 to just kind of hold the place value there. So that's going to be my final answer. All right, number 12. Looking at the numbers, we got 40, 90, and 80. So start there. 40, 90, and 80, your GCF is going to be 10. And then look at your x's. Well, you have 1, you got 3, you got 3. So the smallest one that they have is right here, so pull out 1x. Then look at your y's. 2, 2, there are none back here. So because this one doesn't have any, you cannot pull out any y's because they don't all share a y. Now you're going to put your parentheses. 10x times what is 40xy squared? Well, 10 times 4 is 40. I already have the x that matches. I just need the y squared. Okay, and put a plus because I know it's positive. 10 times 9 is 90. I got 1x, which means I have 3 here, so I need to have 2 more. And I also got to put that y squared there because you don't have any y's out here. And then in the back, again, a positive. 10 times 8 gives you the 80. You already have the 1x, so we're going to make 2 of them, and that's our final answer for that one. Okay, 13. Number 13, we see we have negative 8, and 20. Okay, so I'm going to pull out a negative because my leading term is a negative. And then I'm thinking 8, 8, and 20. Well, the biggest number that will go into all of those is 4. Okay, then I check out my variables. Well, here's an x, no x. Y's, no y's, no y's. So negative 4 is your biggest number you can pull out. So now we're going to go and think negative 4 times what is negative 8xy cubed? Well, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. And then I had no variables out here, so I'm going to put on the xy cubed. And then negative 4 times what is negative 8x? Well, negative 4 times a positive 2 is negative 8. And then I got to put that x back on there. And then last, negative 4 times what is 20? And that's going to be a negative 5. Okay, last problem we'll do together is number 14. Number 14, checking it out here, negative 4, positive 12, negative 40. So I see I have a negative in my leading term. I'm going to pull that negative out. Then I have 4, 12, 40, which means 4 is the biggest number that can go into all those evenly. Okay, then you have m squared n to the 7th. So I'm thinking, well, here's some m's, here's some m's, here's some m's. And I think what's the smallest grouping of m's I have is 2. Oops, I shouldn't have put that there. So negative 4, I'm going to put 2 m's out. Okay, then I look at my n's. This says 7, this says 3, this says 3. So again, I can only put down the smallest amount of n's that I see in a term. So there's 3. Okay, now that I have my GCF, I'm going to go ahead and put my parentheses back. And negative 4 times what is negative 4? That's just a positive 1. And then I see my m's match, but my n's don't. Okay, I have 3 here, but I have 7 here, which means I need 4 more n's. Okay, and then I move on. I see a 12. So negative 4 times what's positive 12? That has to be a negative 3. Okay, check out your variables. M's, 2, but I have 3 here, so I need 1 more m. N's match up, so I don't need any more of those. Okay, and then in the back, negative 4 times what is negative 40? And that's going to be a positive 10. My m's match up. My n's match up, so I don't need any additional variables. Okay, so this is my final answer there. Note, though, that when you see it written maybe on a sheet or something, they're not going to put that 1 there. They'll just say n to the 4th. But if you put that 1 there, that's fine. Okay, look at number 15. So I'm going to tell you with number 15 here. It looks like they did not pull out the negative. And like I said, sometimes they won't do it, and sometimes they will. But if you look at 15, here's a case they're not pulling out a negative. 16, they don't pull the negative out. 17, they don't pull the negative out. So just be mindful of that when you go find your answers. But again, later on when we're factoring and they get harder, we are going to pull that negative out because it makes things easier for us. Okay, going to 15, 16, 17, number 18, 19, and 20.